All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Between Two Flasks. We're thrilled to be here. We've missed you. I'm sure you've missed us.
Yes.
My name is Marilyn Drennan. I'm a project manager at Hutch and co-director of our summer undergraduate research program. And we are thrilled today to be joined by Dr. Jennifer Good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Jennifer Good, and I serve as a program manager in the SCP.
I really appreciate your red glasses this morning. I think you intentionally matched my blazer.
Of course I did. Red's my favorite color, so I'm always sporting some type of red.
I love it. I think we're just off to a great start already with that.
Awesome.
So we are here today to talk about requesting letters of recommendation. I know you provided a lot of guidance and feedback to students in this area before, so we are thrilled to have Dr. Good's expertise here today. So tell me, I'm ready to apply for an internship. I'm ready to apply to graduate school. Who should I be asking for a letter of recommendation?
Well, you definitely want to ask someone that can provide an informative letter of recommendation. So what does an informative letter of recommendation include? And so you want to identify somebody that can talk to your position, to speak to any of your prior research, speak to your academics, speak to any of your future goals, your leadership, what have you done in the community, what have you done on campus.
So should I be asking my mom for a letter of recommendation?
Definitely not. Even though we love our moms, these definitely cannot serve as a letter of recommendation.
What about my high school baseball coach?
No.
Probably not?
No, probably not.
Okay. Good to know.
What about somebody that you did research with? Do you think that you can write a letter? They could write a letter of recommendation for you?
I would say that's a great person to ask for a letter because, especially if you're applying for a research internship, they've supervised you in the lab, they've worked with you in the lab on a research project, and can really speak to your ability to do science, which is definitely useful in a letter of recommendation.
Yes, definitely sounds good.
What about I did a research experience in high school, and now I'm applying to graduate school. I did do research experience with that person. Should I ask them for a letter of recommendation?
You really want to think about the time frame. So when's the last time you communicated with this person? Did you keep in touch?
I didn't follow the advice of prior Between Two Flasks videos and did not keep in touch. So it's been probably 4 years since I've talked to them.
That may not be a good person to ask. So what about the timeline?
Well, you definitely want to give people writing you letters of recommendation plenty of time. Everybody is really busy. They have a lot on their plate. So the earlier you ask, the better the chances that they will say yes. So we always recommend at least 6 weeks of notice before that application deadline.
Oh, no. So what if I need a letter of recommendation tomorrow and I ask somebody at midnight?
Ooh, that's probably not going to go well for you. Definitely give them a little bit more notice. You might not be able to get a letter in time for that internship that you're thinking about applying for. So you might want to look at programs with different deadlines. So definitely work your plan your work, plan ahead.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay, so let's think about next steps. I email you 6 weeks in advance. I ask you to write a letter. You say yes. Oh, fabulous, Marilyn. You're the best person I've ever worked with. I'd be happy to write you a letter. I get that all the time. I'm just kidding. So now what do I do next to make sure that you're writing a strong letter on my behalf?
Okay, so you definitely want to follow up with that individual and thank them for their time and their consideration. These do take some time, so you want to, again, to look at that 6 week ahead of time. And then you want to follow up with them with any important information from your application. So are there any special prompts that they can consider or words that they should consider in writing this letter of recommendation? And again, like you pointed out, make sure that they can write you a strong letter of recommendation. So then you can follow up and send them a copy of your updated CV and resume, a cover letter, your transcript, and anything that's going to speak to what you've been doing over the past few years and your goals.
Should I ask if you want to meet to talk about some of that? Or is that, something that would take up too much time?
Oh, no, that's great. So if you have 10 to 15 minutes just to pop by their office and just speak to them more about what your future goals are, that can definitely help them write you a strong letter of recommendation.
Well, Jennifer, now that we've sort of touched on the high points, why don't we turn it over to a couple of students to talk about their own experience asking for letters of recommendation.
Who did you ask for a letter of recommendation?
I asked my advisor/supervisor and the dean of students at my university.
How did that process look, asking all those letters of recs from those people?
With my dean of students, it wasn't too bad. I just shot them an email, but I never really talked to them in person, so it was kind of uncomfortable and awkward. But they were really nice about it, and he wrote it for me in no time. With my advisor/supervisor, it was really informal because I've had him as a prof, and I'm always in his office, and I've done research with him. So
that's so sweet.
I'm like, yeah, just write me a letter of rec.
So for your, so I know you knew your advisor, but for the dean who didn't know you, like, what did you provide for him to be able to write this letter of rec?
I provided like my statement of research, so that way he could kind of get a feel of what I know, what I've done, because I didn't really have much research experience, but I kind of have like a goal and stuff. So
that's great.
I guess he just bounced off of that. Who did you ask for letters of recommendation?
The two people I asked for recommendations was first my research coordinator I was working with. She was a postdoc in our lab, but she had an associate professor at UCSF. So I've been working with her since like when I started my project in sophomore year. Mm-hmm. So I had her write my first letter of rec since she knew me for research and like all the work I've done. And the second person I asked was actually my PI of my lab. She's not really in the lab much, but we've had interaction and stuff, and then she's talked to my research coordinator, so they just kind of went back and forth, and also like I sent them also my CV and statement of purpose to see, if they could get additional info, especially for my PI since she's mostly administrative work. So those are the two people I did ask.
Okay. How was the process? Was it smooth, rocky?
Yeah, so for my research coordinator, it was not like you with your advisor. It was really smooth because, I work with her like practically for like almost a year and a half now. We're very informal. So I was like, hey, can I get a letter? She's like, yeah, of course. And so, but for my PI, I was a little bit more like, I know she's like PI of my lab and I've been there for a while, but I haven't interacted too much with her. But it was really nice. She was really sweet about it. Sent her an email, be like, hey, I'm applying to this. Can I get a letter of rec? And she's like, yeah, of course. And then she asked me for like my statement of purpose and CV, so she get like a general idea what to write. But overall, the process was really smooth.
Do you have any tips for people requesting letters of recommendation?
Anyone could ask for a letter of rec, but I think the biggest difference is asking for a strong letter of rec. So definitely ask someone who at least has a general idea of who you are, what you do and stuff. And then when it comes to like emailing, I would recommend, like, at least for me, it's like emailing someone for a letter of rec. It's scary sometimes, So I asked, like, let's say, like, whoever, like, your mentor, like, hey, how do I do this? Get that draft going, and like, should I offer? And then always try to offer like your statement of purpose or CV, because most of the time, they won't know you. So I guess I would attach those two, and that'll make it easier. Probably even offer to have a meeting with them, because sometimes they like how active you are, and they would really enjoy that. So I guess those are the main tips I would say for asking letter of rec.